There's a feeling I can't shake. It's not just a passing worry or the usual stress of daily life, it's deeper, like a low thrumming under the surface of everything. Imagine hearing a sound that's almost too low to register, but you feel it in your bones, a constant vibration that seems to come from everywhere and nowhere at the same time. That's what it's been like. A growing sense of unease, a quiet whisper that the world around us, the one we think we know, is subtly, almost imperceptibly, shifting. It feels primal, like an ancient part of my brain is trying to tell me something important. Something big is coming. It's more than just anxiety. It's an intuition, a deep-seated knowing that something fundamental is changing. This feeling isn't new, but it's gotten a lot stronger lately. It started with small things, things I could easily dismiss, like seeing the same numbers over and over again, not just once or twice, but constantly. 1111, 333, 444. On the clock, on license plates, even in product serial numbers. It felt like a secret code, or maybe a cosmic inside joke I wasn't quite in on. Then my dreams started changing. They became intensely vivid, almost hyper-real. I'd wake up feeling like I'd just lived another full day, often with images burned into my mind. Strange symbols, fragmented messages, faces I didn't recognize but felt a deep connection to. Sometimes the dreams were so real, I'd have to take a moment to figure out if what I remembered actually happened, or if it was just a dream. These aren't just random dreams. They feel like pieces of a puzzle, trying to tell me something, trying to guide me. Losing my wife changed everything. It was the kind of grief that rearranges your world, leaving a gaping hole where joy used to be. After she passed, I started looking for answers, for meaning. Her absence, that profound emptiness, pushed me onto a spiritual path I might never have explored otherwise. I felt her presence, not like a ghost, but like a subtle guiding force. Sometimes it was a specific scent, like her favorite perfume, when no one else was around. Other times, it was a fleeting glimpse of light, a shimmer in my peripheral vision that would vanish when I tried to focus on it. It was comforting, yes, but also unsettling, like she was trying to tell me something important, something I needed to pay attention to. That's when I started diving into old books, ancient texts, and theories about cyclical cataclysms. Stories of civilizations rising and falling, of Earth being reset, over and over again, throughout history. They resonated with that deep hum I felt, with the strange dreams and the repeating numbers. The whispers grew louder. I started noticing things in nature that just didn't seem right, or at least not normal. Birds would fly in patterns I'd never seen before, almost like they were rehearsing for something. The weather has been wild, not just a bit off, but truly unpredictable. Sudden, intense storms, followed by days of unnerving calm. Plants in my garden would grow in impossible ways, sprouting in places they shouldn't, reaching for the sky with an almost unnatural vigor. These observations started to connect in my mind, forming a picture of something monumental, something profound approaching. It wasn't just a feeling anymore. It was a growing conviction. And then there was the feeling of being watched. Not in a scary way, not like someone was hiding in the bushes, but a prickling sensation on my skin, especially when I was alone in nature. Like unseen eyes were following my every move, observing, waiting. One night, it all came to a head. The sky wasn't just dark. It seemed to pulse with an unearthly light, a soft glow that wasn't from the moon or any stars I knew. It was accompanied by a sound, a low, resonant tone that vibrated deep within my bones, a sound that felt ancient and powerful. It wasn't loud, but it filled the air, and it felt like it was coming from inside me as much as from outside. That experience solidified everything. These weren't random occurrences, not just my imagination or grief playing tricks on me. These were interconnected signals, a grand symphony of signs all pointing to one thing. After that night, the urge to seek answers became almost irresistible. It wasn't a choice anymore. It was a powerful, undeniable pull, a call to unravel the mystery that had begun to consume me. It felt like I was being prepared for something, guided towards a truth I couldn't yet grasp, but knew I had to find. My ordinary life, my old worries, they all faded into the background. All that mattered was finding out what this all meant. My dreams, which had always been vivid, began to shift. They became less like memories and more like visions, showing me cryptic scenes of ancient civilizations I'd only read about in history books, but with a twist. There was advanced technology woven into these ancient worlds, glowing structures, and intricate machines that seemed impossible. Then, the dreams would shift again, showing catastrophic events, massive floods, skies turning dark, the ground shaking apart. I could almost smell the ozone in the air before a blinding flash of light would consume everything. The silence that followed these destructive moments was the most unsettling part. A deep, echoing quiet that felt like the end of the world. In these dream sequences, there was always an ethereal, glowing figure, always just out of reach, trying to convey a message. It was never clear. Just a feeling, a sense of urgency, a pressing need to understand. The synchronistic events that had started subtly now became more complex, almost like breadcrumbs leading me somewhere specific. It wasn't just repeating numbers anymore. I'd be thinking about a specific ancient civilization, say the Sumerians, and then a random book about Sumerian cuneiform would practically fall off a shelf in a secondhand store, landing at my feet. Or I'd overhear a conversation on the bus about some obscure scientific theory I'd just been researching. A theory that most people wouldn't even know existed. Sometimes, it was pure chance encounters with strangers who, without prompting, would share a strikingly similar experience or belief, hinting at a shared, unspoken understanding of the world. It felt less like coincidence and more like I was being guided, as if an unseen hand was carefully arranging the pieces of a cosmic puzzle just for me to find. This wasn't just intellectually stimulating, it was deeply emotional. Each coincidence, each synchronicity, brought with it a profound sense of destiny unfolding. A feeling that I was exactly where I needed to be, doing exactly what I was meant to do, even if I didn't fully understand it yet. My wife's presence, which had started as subtle comforts, also grew more explicit. It wasn't her ghost, but definite messages that felt undeniably hers. I'd find small objects, things she cherished, appearing in unusual places. A small silver locket on my pillow, a favorite scarf draped over a chair I rarely used. Familiar melodies, songs we loved, would play at opportune moments on the radio, always when I was deep in thought about our shared past or the mysteries I was exploring. Sometimes, specific phrases, ones she used often, would echo in my mind with sudden clarity, almost like she was whispering them directly to me. These messages weren't random. They consistently pointed toward themes of cycles, of awakening, of a hidden truth about Earth's past that I was slowly uncovering. It brought a bittersweet comfort, knowing she was still somehow with me, but also an unsettling urgency. It was as if she was pushing me forward, telling me to pay attention, that time was short. Her spirit, it seemed, was as invested in this unfolding mystery as I was. Then a new pattern began to emerge in my dreams and in the synchronistic encounters. A recurring symbol, almost like an ancient glyph, started showing up everywhere. It would appear in the intricate patterns of leaves, in the cracks on a sidewalk, even faintly etched into the steam on my shower door. Along with this symbol, a specific geographical feature, a unique rock formation, would appear in my mind's eye, always linked to a remote location in the United States. It wasn't a place I knew, but the image became clearer and clearer, almost like a mental map. I started seeing images of this place in books and documentaries I would stumble upon, even in random online articles. It created an overwhelming, almost magnetic pull. I felt an inexplicable connection to this place, a deep, primal urge to go there. My gut told me, with absolute certainty, that this location held the key to understanding everything I was experiencing, all the strange phenomena, the dreams, the messages. It was the next step on this path. The internal struggle was intense. On one side, there was the rational part of me, the part that wanted to dismiss it all as grief, as an overactive imagination, as a cascade of coincidences. My logical mind screamed at me to stay, to maintain my ordinary life, to not chase after what seemed like a fantastical delusion. But on the other side, there was an undeniable force, a primal knowing that transcended logic. The urgency I felt became too strong to ignore. It was like a tidal wave, pushing me forward, making my old life seem trivial and inconsequential. I knew deep down that I had to abandon everything familiar. I had to embark on this journey, no matter how crazy it seemed to others, or even to myself at times. The decision felt less like a choice and more like an inevitability. It was as if I was stepping onto a predetermined path, one that had been waiting for me all along. My heart pounded with a mixture of fear for the unknown and a profound anticipation for what lay ahead. A feeling that I was finally answering a call that had been echoing within me for a very long time. The drive to the remote site was long, stretching for days across vast, empty landscapes. Each mile seemed to peel away another layer of the familiar world, replacing it with something more raw, more ancient. The roads eventually turned to gravel, then to little more than dirt tracks, winding through canyons and over plateaus that looked like they belonged to another planet. The silence out here was profound, broken only by the wind whistling through the sparse vegetation and the crunch of tires on stone. It was a silence that wasn't empty, but full of something, an energy I could feel pressing in on me. The beauty of it all was stark, almost brutal. Towering red rock formations carved by millennia of wind and water, twisted trees clinging to impossible ledges, and a sky so wide and blue it felt like an ocean above. When I finally arrived at the coordinates my dreams had given me, the air itself felt different. There was a palpable energy, a hum that seemed to vibrate through the soles of my feet and up into my chest. It wasn't just my imagination. The hairs on my arms stood on end. This wasn't merely a beautiful landscape. It was a place of ancient power, radiating from the very earth beneath me. The visual details were striking. Massive, smooth rock formations rose like silent sentinels, unlike anything I'd ever seen in geological textbooks. Strange, resilient plant life, with leaves like polished jade and flowers that glowed with unnatural hues, clung to crevices as if drawing sustenance from the very stones. Most unnerving of all was the pervasive, unnerving silence. No birds sang, no insects buzzed. It was the silence of a place holding its breath, waiting. I spent the first few hours just walking, letting the energy wash over me. trying to orient myself. Then, almost by accident, I stumbled upon them. On a smooth vertical rock face, half hidden by centuries of erosion and lichen, were markings. They weren't crude cave paintings, but intricate, almost geometric patterns, deeply etched into the stone. They were unlike anything I'd ever seen, yet instantly I recognized them. These were the symbols from my dreams, the glyphs that had appeared on leaves and in the steam of my shower. My heart leaped. This was it. This was confirmation. I was in the right place. I reached out a trembling hand and touched the cold stone. The moment my fingertips made contact, a jolt of energy shot through me. It wasn't painful, but intensely vivid, like a sudden electrical current. My mind was flooded with fragmented images, soaring structures of light, beings moving with impossible grace, vast cosmic vistas, and a deep, resonant sound that seemed to vibrate through my very bones. The images faded as quickly as they came, leaving me breathless, my hand still pressed against the ancient markings. As I delved deeper into the site, the environment around me began to subtly distort. It wasn't a sudden, jarring shift, but a gradual, almost imperceptible change. Colors seemed more vibrant. The red rocks pulsed with an inner fire. The impossible green of the plants glowed with an otherworldly intensity. Sounds became incredibly acute. I could hear the faint whisper of air currents far overhead, the distant shift of sand, sounds I knew shouldn't be audible to human ears. And time itself felt fluid, stretching and compressing in strange ways. Minutes felt like hours, and then hours would vanish in what felt like moments. A sudden, sharp drop in temperature made me shiver, despite the desert sun. A swirling mist, thin and translucent, began to appear out of nowhere, snaking between the rock formations, even though there was no moisture in the air. The distinct feeling of being observed grew stronger, a prickling sensation on the back of my neck that wasn't fear, but an intense awareness. The air became charged, electric, making the fine hairs on my arms and neck stand on end, a continuous current running through my body. It was through this swirling mist, or perhaps a distortion in the very fabric of the air itself, that I caught the first glimpse. It was fleeting, an almost imperceptible shimmer, a play of light that defied natural explanation. It wasn't a solid form, more like a ripple in reality, a momentary outline that seemed to pulse with an inner luminosity. My heart raced, a frantic drum against my ribs. A mix of fear and awe washed over me, so potent it stole my breath. For a split second, I questioned everything. Was I hallucinating? Had the isolation, the grief, the relentless journey finally broken my mind? Yet deep down, a profound certainty resonated within me. This was real. This wasn't a trick of light or an overactive imagination. This was happening. The profound silence that had permeated the area intensified, broken only by the ragged sound of my own breathing, loud in my ears. Then, slowly, majestically, it began to materialize. It wasn't a sudden appearance, but a gradual unfolding, like a flower blooming in slow motion. The shimmering outline solidified, gaining form and substance. It wasn't monstrous or terrifying, but rather an elegant, luminous being, almost ethereal in its presence. It seemed to shimmer with an inner light, a soft golden glow that illuminated the mist around it. Its form was tall and slender, graceful in a way that defied earthly biology. What I perceived as its eyes were deep pools of shifting light, ancient and wise, holding what seemed like the entire cosmos within them. There was no mouth, no discernible features for speech, yet I felt a profound sense of intelligence emanating from it. a deep, radiating peace that calmed the frantic beating of my heart. I was in the presence of something truly ancient and powerful, something beyond human comprehension. It was a moment of absolute stillness, a quiet before the storm, before the revelation that would shatter my understanding of everything. The alien's presence wasn't about spoken words, not in any way I understood language. It was a direct download, a torrent of pure thought and emotion that flooded my mind. The initial contact was overwhelming, a sensory overload unlike anything I had ever experienced. It was like seeing colors that didn't exist in our spectrum, hearing sounds that vibrated through my very bones, sounds beyond human hearing. And with it came a feeling of boundless cosmic knowledge, vast and incomprehensible, yet somehow familiar, like a forgotten memory stirring. For a moment, I felt a profound dizziness, as if my consciousness was being stretched and pulled, expanding beyond the confines of my physical body, reaching out into the universe. It was exhilarating and terrifying all at once. Despite the initial intensity, the alien's demeanor was one of profound calm. Its light, that soft golden glow, seemed to emanate not just from its form, but from its very essence, casting a peaceful aura over everything. Its eyes, those deep pools of shifting light I had first glimpsed, seemed to hold an ancient understanding, a deep empathy that transcended any earthly emotion. There was no judgment in them, only observation and a quiet knowing. I felt no fear now, only an intense, almost insatiable curiosity and a deep, undeniable connection to this being. It was as if we had known each other across eons, a recognition that went beyond time and space. Then, the information began to flow, not as a lecture, but as a series of intricate, interconnected images, feelings, and concepts. It was the beginning of the revelation, starting with Earth's cycles. I perceived vast cosmic timescales, seeing our planet's history unfold not as a linear progression, but as a series of grand, predictable patterns. I saw Earth from an impossible distance, a tiny blue marble suspended in the blackness, and then zoomed in, witnessing its fiery birth, the slow emergence of life, the rise and fall of countless civilizations. Each time, a cataclysm, a reset, would sweep across the surface, wiping the slate clean, only for life to begin anew. It wasn't random destruction, the alien communicated, but an integral part of a larger cosmic design, a necessary cleansing, a renewal. It was like the universe taking a deep breath, exhaling, and then breathing in again, a constant rhythm of creation and recreation. The alien then conveyed a crucial piece of information. Human consciousness, or more accurately, the collective consciousness of all sentient life on Earth, played a critical role in these cycles. I understood that the resets weren't just about geological shifts or astronomical alignments. They were often triggered by a divergence in humanity's spiritual path, a failure to evolve in harmony with cosmic laws. When the collective consciousness strayed too far, becoming too entangled in materialism, conflict, and disconnection, the universe intervened, orchestrating a reset to allow for a fresh start, a chance to realign. It wasn't a punishment, but a course correction. I felt a profound sense of responsibility, a heavy weight that settled in my chest, realizing the interconnectedness of all life and the universe itself. Our thoughts, our actions, our collective energy, all played a part in this grand cosmic dance. And then, the most chilling part of the transmission, a glimpse of the upcoming reset. I wasn't shown a clear, detailed picture, but fragmented visions, like pieces of a puzzle. I saw global shifts, not just earthquakes or tsunamis, but deeper, more fundamental changes to the planet's very structure. Energetic surges pulsed across the globe, shimmering grids of light appearing and disappearing. I saw structures collapsing, not just buildings, but entire paradigms, ways of thinking, systems of belief. But it wasn't just physical destruction, it was a profound energetic shift, a reordering of reality itself. The visions were accompanied by a deep, resonant hum, a sound that seemed to vibrate from the core of the earth. It was a sense of profound energetic upheaval, a tearing down to build anew. I felt a deep, unsettling understanding settle over me. The strange phenomena I had been experiencing, the vivid dreams, the synchronistic events, the whispers from my wife, they weren't just warnings. They were precursors, unmistakable signs of an inevitable event. A cosmic clock ticking down to the next great reset. My world, my understanding of reality, had been shattered and rebuilt in a matter of moments. The alien continued its transmission, and the 12,000-year cycle, which I had initially understood as a simple, violent cleansing, began to reveal itself as something far more intricate. It wasn't merely about physical destruction, but a sophisticated recalibration of planetary energy and consciousness. I saw images of vast cosmic mechanisms, like giant, unseen gears turning in the void. There were intricate celestial mechanics at play, gravitational forces of unimaginable scale, all influencing these resets in ways that stretched far beyond our current scientific understanding. It was like witnessing the universe itself as a vast, living organism, constantly breathing, constantly renewing itself. Each inhale and exhale was a cycle, a rhythm that governed not just our planet, but entire star systems. The feeling was humbling, making humanity's struggles seem tiny, yet significant within this grand cosmic dance. The purpose of these resets was then laid bare. They weren't acts of vengeance or random cosmic events. The alien communicated that these cycles were designed to prevent complete spiritual stagnation. Humanity, left unchecked, often descended into patterns of conflict, greed, and disconnection, losing sight of its true potential. The resets, therefore, were opportunities. They were chances for humanity to ascend to higher levels of consciousness, to shed old paradigms and embrace new truths. It was a cosmic reboot, a necessary jolt for collective evolution. I understood that these events, though seemingly catastrophic from our limited perspective, were not punitive. They were transformative, born from a profound compassion, a guiding hand ensuring that life, in its highest form, continued its journey of spiritual growth. The alien's consciousness, though alien, radiated an undeniable sense of care, a deep, ancient wisdom that saw beyond individual lives to the grand arc of evolution. Then came the startling revelation of humanity's past. I was shown glimpses of advanced civilizations that had existed on Earth long before our recorded history. These societies were not only aware of the 12,000-year cycles, but had built their entire existence around them. They possessed technologies and spiritual practices that made our modern advancements seem crude. They understood the interconnectedness of all things, harnessing energies we could only dream of. But despite their knowledge, they too succumbed. Sometimes it was hubris, a belief in their own invincibility that blinded them to the signs. Other times, it was a failure to heed the warnings, a collective inability to transcend their internal conflicts. I saw their grand structures, their intricate societies, crumble and vanish beneath the waves of a reset. The alien communicated that fragments of this forgotten knowledge still existed, encoded in myths, hidden within sacred sites around the globe, and even within our own DNA, waiting to be rediscovered, to be awakened. It was like a dormant seed within us, containing the wisdom of ages. The alien then showed me its own kind's role in this cosmic drama. They were not gods, nor were they conquerors. They were cosmic watchers, or guardians, observing and, when necessary, gently guiding evolving civilizations across the universe. They did not interfere directly, respecting the free will of each species. Instead, they provided subtle nudges, opportunities for growth, especially when a species reached a critical juncture, a crossroads where its future hung in the balance. I felt a profound sense of not being alone, of being part of a vast, interconnected cosmic family, watched over by these benevolent, ancient beings. Their presence was a testament to the sheer scale of life and intelligence in the universe, a comforting thought amidst the unsettling revelations. Finally, the alien conveyed a sense of urgent concern regarding humanity's current trajectory. It highlighted our increasing disconnection from nature, from each other, and most critically, from our true spiritual essence. I perceived a vivid visual metaphor, humanity hurtling down a path, eyes fixed on immediate gratification, oblivious to the cliff edge just ahead. There were diverging timelines, branching paths representing different potential futures. One path led to continued spiritual decay, accelerating the inevitability of a harsh reset. Another path, faint but still visible, offered a chance for collective awakening, a redirection towards harmony and conscious evolution. I felt a chilling realization settle in my bones. We were not just heading towards a reset. We were teetering on the precipice. The next reset was not a distant prophecy, but a near certainty, an almost unavoidable consequence if we continued on our current path of self-destruction and spiritual blindness. The weight of this knowledge was immense, a heavy mantle placed upon my shoulders. The alien's silent communication shifted, becoming more insistent, more focused on the immediate future. It emphasized that all the strange occurrences I had been witnessing, the vivid dreams, the uncanny synchronistic events, the anomalies in nature, were not random. They were all manifestations of an accelerating energetic shift on Earth. I saw a visual representation of our planet, not as a solid, inert sphere, but as a living, breathing entity. Its magnetic field pulsed and fluctuated wildly, like a feverish heartbeat. The very core of the Earth, usually a steady hum, now vibrated with an increased, almost frantic intensity. It was as if the planet itself was groaning under an immense, unseen pressure, preparing for a profound and irreversible change. This wasn't just a metaphor. It felt like a visceral truth, a deep, unsettling rumbling beneath my own feet. The air around me seemed to crackle with this unseen energy, making my skin prickle, a constant reminder of the planet's impending transformation. Then came a crucial piece of information, a concept that offered both a glimmer of hope and a stark challenge. There was a critical window of opportunity. This was a period, perhaps shorter than we could imagine, before the full impact of the reset would hit. During this time, humanity, as a collective, still had the chance to shift its consciousness, to choose a different path. It wasn't about ensuring physical survival for every single person, but about preserving and elevating the collective consciousness of our species. The alien conveyed that while individual lives might still be lost, the spiritual essence, the accumulated wisdom of humanity, could be carried forward, refined and strengthened. This message felt like a beacon, cutting through the earlier despair, but it was also a stark warning. This window would not remain open indefinitely. The choice was ours, and the time to make it was rapidly approaching. I gained a deeper, more nuanced understanding of what the coming reset would entail. It wasn't going to be a simple, singular, destructive event, like a meteorite impact or a massive earthquake. Instead, it was a multi-dimensional transformation, affecting not just the physical landscape of the planet, but also the very fabric of reality as we perceived it. It involved not only physical changes to the Earth's surface and atmosphere, but also a profound shift in perception, a kind of veiling or unveiling of certain realities. The alien showed me that those who were spiritually prepared, those whose consciousness had already begun to align with higher frequencies, would experience this shift differently. They might perceive new dimensions, access latent abilities, or even transcend certain physical limitations. It was a complex process, an intricate dance between cosmic energies and conscious evolution, far beyond our current scientific models. During this intense transmission, something truly extraordinary happened. The alien seemed to amplify the messages I had been receiving from my deceased wife. Her presence, which had been a guiding light throughout my journey, now integrated directly into this larger cosmic narrative. The alien didn't speak for her, but rather wove her earlier signs and whispers seamlessly into the tapestry of its own profound knowledge. I understood then that her earlier signs, the specific scents, the familiar melodies, the fleeting glimpses of light, were not just personal messages of comfort or longing. They were specific guidance, a gentle but persistent call, helping me prepare for this very encounter, for this moment of revelation. A powerful, emotional resonance surged through me, a feeling of her love and wisdom interwoven with the alien's cosmic insights. It was as if she was saying, "I told you so," but with boundless love and encouragement, affirming that I was exactly where I needed to be, receiving exactly what I needed to hear. Finally, the alien clearly communicated the ultimate choice presented to humanity. While the reset, in some form, was inevitable, a natural part of the cosmic cycle, humanity's collective choice would determine its severity and its ultimate outcome. It wasn't about stopping the cycle, but about influencing its trajectory. I perceived that we, as a species, held the power to mitigate the suffering, to lessen the chaotic aspects of the transformation, and to emerge into a new era with greater wisdom, unity, and spiritual maturity. The alien conveyed that our collective consciousness, our shared intentions and actions, could steer the course of this monumental event. This knowledge settled over me with a heavy weight. It was an immense responsibility, not just for me, but by extension, for every single person who would hear this message, for all who were ready to listen and act. The fate of our collective future, the nature of the next cycle, now rested squarely on our shoulders. The alien then conveyed its final, most crucial instruction. My encounter was not just for my personal enlightenment, but to serve as a conduit for this vital information. It was not enough for me to simply understand. I was to share this message, to plant seeds of awakening among others who were ready to receive it. I understood that this was my mission, my purpose in the grand scheme of things. The alien emphasized the importance of finding those with open hearts and minds, those who were already sensing the subtle shifts in the world, those whose intuition had been nudging them towards a deeper truth. It wasn't about convincing the unwilling, but about empowering those who were already on the verge of understanding. These seeds were not just words or abstract concepts. They were intricate bundles of concepts, feelings, and energetic imprints that would resonate with others on a deep, intuitive level. The alien showed me how this message needed to be conveyed with authenticity and urgency. Yes, but also with profound compassion and unwavering hope. It wasn't about instilling fear, but about inspiring transformation. I perceived visions of how this information could spread, not through traditional media, but through a network of awakened individuals, like ripples in a pond, touching countless lives, each person becoming a new center of awareness. It was a beautiful, organic process, driven by the inherent desire for truth that resides within every conscious being. The alien made it clear that while the path would be challenging, the potential for collective awakening was immense. Beyond merely spreading the word, the alien offered profound insights into the qualities and values that would be absolutely essential for navigating the post-reset world. It spoke of resilience, not just physical endurance, but mental and emotional fortitude to adapt to new realities. It stressed the critical importance of community, of coming together, supporting one another, and rebuilding with shared purpose. Spiritual connection was paramount, a deep reverence for all life, an understanding of our interconnectedness with the planet and the cosmos. I understood that the focus should be much more on inner transformation rather than solely external preparations. Stockpiling supplies or building bunkers, while perhaps offering a temporary sense of security, would ultimately be futile without a corresponding shift in consciousness. The real preparation was internal, cultivating compassion, fostering intuition, shedding old patterns of fear and division. I felt a sense of purpose solidified within me, knowing my role in this grand cosmic drama. My path was clear, even if daunting. Then, as subtly as it had appeared, the alien slowly began its departure. Its luminous form, which had filled the space with such profound wisdom and light, gradually started to dematerialize. It didn't vanish in a flash, but rather faded, like mist dissipating in the morning sun, its edges softening, its brilliance dimming, until only a faint shimmer remained. Eventually, even that was gone. The profound silence returned, but it was a different kind of silence than before. It was no longer empty or unnerving. It was filled with an immense echoing wisdom and a lingering energetic hum that vibrated deep within my bones. The air still felt charged, alive with the memory of its presence. I stood there, rooted to the spot, a deep sense of gratitude washing over me, mixed with the overwhelming weight of the knowledge I now carried. My mind reeled, trying to process the sheer volume of information, the shift in my entire worldview. I reflected on how this encounter had utterly transformed me, leaving me with an unwavering conviction and a clear, undeniable mission. My perception of reality had been permanently altered, like seeing the world through a new lens, one that revealed the intricate energetic patterns and cosmic connections I had previously only glimpsed. I was no longer just a man grieving his wife, seeking answers. I was a messenger, a vessel for a truth that could change the course of humanity. The fear that had initially accompanied the strange phenomena had been replaced by a quiet determination. I felt irrevocably changed. My old life, a distant memory, a prelude to this profound awakening. The call to action was no longer an external prompt, but an inner imperative. The time for awakening was now, not sometime in the distant future. It was here, pressing, urgent. Our collective future, the very nature of the next cycle, depended on our individual choices, our willingness to do the inner work, to open our hearts and minds to the profound truth that had been revealed. My transformation was complete, and now the real work began. My return from the ancient site felt like stepping into an alternate reality. The familiar world I had left behind now seemed thin, almost transparent, revealing the intricate energetic currents humming beneath its surface. Every tree, every cloud, every distant human voice carried a deeper meaning, resonating with the aliens' profound revelations. The bustling city, when I eventually reached it, felt like a cacophony of distractions, each person caught in their own small drama, oblivious to the grand cosmic play unfolding around them. I moved through it all like a ghost, an outsider carrying a truth so immense, so urgent, that it felt like a physical weight in my chest. Yet, I was compelled to share it. Living with this knowledge was a constant challenge, a heavy responsibility. The sheer scope of what I had learned, the understanding of Earth's cyclical nature, and humanity's precarious position, demanded careful integration into my everyday existence. How do you explain to someone that their entire perception of history, of progress, of reality itself, is fundamentally flawed? How do you convey the urgency of a planetary reset when most people are worried about their next paycheck or the latest headlines? I spent countless hours in quiet contemplation, sifting through the aliens' transmitted wisdom, trying to find the right words, the most effective ways to communicate this profound message without causing panic or being dismissed as delusional. The synchronistic events, which had initially drawn me to the site, continued to occur. But now, they served as powerful affirmations, a chance encounter with an old book on ancient myths, a sudden flash of insight during meditation, a conversation with a stranger that echoed the aliens' teachings. Each was a gentle nudge, a confirmation that I was indeed on the right path, that the universe was conspiring to help me fulfill my mission. These weren't random occurrences. They were the subtle workings of the unseen hand, guiding me, supporting me. The urgency of the situation pressed on me daily. The 12,000-year cycle, the alien had made clear, was indeed drawing to a close. We stood at a critical juncture, a precipice from which we could either fall into oblivion or ascend to a new level of consciousness. I knew I had to speak, to reach as many people as possible. I urged everyone to look beyond the mainstream narratives, the constant noise and distractions that kept us from looking inward. I implored them to trust their intuition, that quiet inner voice that often whispers truths our logical minds refuse to acknowledge. That intuition is a powerful tool, a direct link to the cosmic wisdom the alien had shared. I spoke of the importance of meditation, not as a luxury, but as a necessity, a way to quiet the mind, to connect with the deeper self, and to receive guidance from within. I emphasized the profound healing power of connecting to nature, of spending time in wild places, allowing the Earth's energy to recalibrate our own, and most importantly, I stressed the need for fostering genuine human connection, for building community, for recognizing our shared humanity, and supporting each other through the coming shifts. These weren't just spiritual practices, they were practical tools for collective awakening, for preparing our consciousness for the transformation ahead. As I shared this message, questions about humanity's future constantly swirled in my mind. Would we heed the warnings? Would enough people awaken in time? What kind of world would we collectively choose to create from the ashes of the old? The alien had shown me divergent timelines, potential futures shaped by our choices. The weight of that decision, that collective choice, felt immense. I also sensed the continued subtle influence of the Watchers, those benevolent beings who observed our journey. They hadn't abandoned us. Their presence was a quiet reassurance that we were never truly alone, even if their direct intervention was limited. There remained a lingering sense of mystery, an acknowledgement that while much had been revealed to me, even greater truths, more profound cosmic secrets, still lay beyond our current human comprehension. The alien had opened a door, but the universe stretched on endlessly, full of wonders and wisdom yet to be discovered. This journey was far from over. It was just beginning for all of us. So, I offer this message to you now with all the urgency and conviction I possess. Consider the implications of what I've shared. Don't dismiss it out of hand. Start your own journey of inquiry, your own inner transformation. Look for the signs, listen to your intuition, and connect with your deepest self. Share your own experiences, your insights, your questions in the comments below. Let's build a community of awakened individuals, prepare together, and navigate this unprecedented journey. Subscribe to stay tuned, because our collective future, the very nature of the next cycle, depends on our individual choices, right here, right now. The echoes of prophecy are growing louder, and the time for action is upon us.